cold and indifferent to the plight, to the travails of mankind, particularly the poor. The cinematography, the camera work is just magnificent. It is in fact breathtaking. And Goutam Ghose, in a nuanced and gentle narrative, tells the story of enduring sympathy, of the enduring sympathy and kindness in human beings, which ultimately prevail and triumph over the vicissitudes of life and the various trials and tribulations that fate throws in their way. The film is a masterpiece, and Goutam Ghose has once again shown that he has lost none of his great powers, and his mastery over the cinema form continues to dazzle and enchant the audience all over the world. Today we are in for a major treat because we have with us Goutam Ghose himself to discuss Raahgir. Welcome, sir.
I'm humbled for your introduction.
Not at all.
Tell me.
So let's start with the film first. Let's talk about, like I said, visually the film is breathtaking, but at the same time, as one watches the film, one can realizes the huge difficulty that must have come with the making of the film in such a terrain: the dense jungle, the rocky terrain, the mud, the river, the rain, the cold, and the final stretch of the journey down a very busy highway. How was it? How did you manage to overcome all these difficulties?
I always been very adventurous for making films. I don't call fiction non-fiction. Even when I make documentaries, I call them I'm making a film. So I love this adventure that you find in many of my films, right from my first feature film to my adventure along the Silk Road when I went beyond the Himalayas, traveling all across Central Asia, China, Tibet. So I love this kind of an adventure. In many of my films, you find this journey. For me, this quest to learn your land, nature, human relationship, cultural ethnicity, that fascinates me absolutely. In this film, well, I tell you a little background of this film. In 2018, I was finishing a film on the Calcutta High Court, Temple of Solomon, the title of the film. And then, of course, I was thinking of making another feature film. But I don't make too many films. And I prefer, after fiction, going to so-called non-fiction. And I love that trip, and that enriches my understanding of the world and myself. So the search for yourself, that is most important. So I was thinking what to do. And I was very disturbed about the society, the attitude of human beings, not only in our country, but all over the world. The world is becoming so intolerant and inhuman in many cases. I remember Mrinalda was arrived, Milan Hussain. I went to see him, was not well, but he was a kind of a person, once you put him in the track, he starts talking about cinema, art, everything. So I told Mrinalda, look, what's happening in the world. He said, what we are planning? I said, I'm planning to make a film for humanity and compassion as well. Then I said, look, Mrinalda, what's happening? It is materialistic, desire in this age of greed is so high that children killing their parents for the property. And Mrinal, since the age of 96, he screamed, no, I don't believe. So I realized that, for this man, at the fag end of his life, he feels he had seen the world since 1943 famine to the partition and so many things. Then I told him that I'm I got a lovely story written by Prafulla Roy a couple of years back. In his Bihar series, it is small little 4 pages story. I told him the idea, and he said, "Wonderful, Gautam." I said, I want to make this film. It's a kind of challenging film. It's challenge like power. You have to cross. So that crossing was a metaphor for human endurance. So here also there is a challenge which comes suddenly and in a very unusual, unpredictable way, rather. And I spoke to a producer, Calcutta-based producer, but he also has a sort of production company, Bombay, Amit Agarwal. He produced some big Bollywood films and also small little films in Kolkata. He said, "Gautam da, it's been my dream to make a film with you." Look, Amit, I have an idea. We'll make the film and we shoot next monsoon because target is there because, film has to be done in monsoon. So he agreed instantly. I said, whatever you feel, please. Then we were looking for some wonderful actors because, you've seen the film. That actually, for me, cinema is a visual art. And I look that whatever you express in cinema has to be in cinematic time and space. Cinematic time and space is different from real time and space. Because in cinema, you can tell a story of 10,000 years in 2 hours. You can tell a story of 2 hours in 2 hours. You can tell a story of 5 minutes in 5 hours. That's the power of cinema. And the space. I was looking for who could be, those actors, basically so-called marginalized people. I don't like this word. Who is marginal? It's still at the theabox. So then, I decided the film. I thought of Adil Hussain, Tilottama Shom, and Neeraj Kabi, and Manik Puri of Pibli Life. So they agreed. And I said, but only constraint, we have to shoot during monsoon. It will not be a long shoot, but you have to work very hard because we have to confront. Still, we don't know whether we'll be able to cross or to cross the entire terrain. Like in Par, what happened, I told my producer, he was my wife's uncle, that look, in the first schedule, we shoot the climax. In those days, there was no special effects, nothing. Nasir and Shabana had to go through the river with the heart of peaks. I told my producer, look, if we succeed to finish the climax, we'll do the film. Otherwise, we scrap it. Really agreeing. So sometimes, you need also a very enthusiastic producer with positive five. That also, Amit had. Oh, tremendous. Okay, go ahead, Swadhubra. So that's why, I don't know, to sum up your question, I said many things that was necessary. Yeah. And we jumped for making this film. And it was very difficult indeed. But, we plan in cinema, if you can plan two things. You plan meticulously each and every shot. But when you shoot and when you edit and show to the public, which should look a spontaneous thing, not schematic. But for the preparation, it's very schematic. We had to do the recce. Actually, each and every angle and its latitude, longitude, everything was calculated. And the space where from the character will appear. And we were doing the recce in summer. And what could be the look of that place during monsoon? So these calculations are very important, and we did it. And with my crew, with my small crew, they were very serious, hardworking. And that's why when you look at the film, you feel that like a candied camera is following these characters. It's not candid. It's sort of planned.
Now, you talked about power and, the actors. Now, I was reminded of an interesting anecdote regarding power when Nasiruddin Shah, for the role, suppressed the fact that he didn't really know how to swim. And it was very important for the actor to know how to swim, considering the fact that he had to.
No. There are hundreds of stories about this. He never separates.
Okay.
He never. He said that I know dog stroke,
Okay.
so I can manage.
Okay.
But he- the Nasir is a character. He's very unique and frank. Never separates. But uh, after learning a little bit of dog stroke, his courage and desire to do that role, that is commendable.
Absolutely. Of course.
So many stories, for many years going on, this and that. But I don't care. Anyway,
Did you have any kind of face?
the problem with this, Nasi was drowning twice.
Okay.
See, the courage and rescued by the civil defense people. But he continued, and it was very interesting in the film that you the crossed halfway through, then you find there is another stretch to cross. That was the most dramatic, and both Nasir and Shabana, they were exhausted. In this film, Raahgir, my actors sometimes got exhausted, especially at the end on the highway during night, during monsoon. They are trying to find a little for a little rest.
Yeah.
Then Tilotha was almost collapsed. Sometimes we filmmakers are so ruthless for the right shot. I said, Tilo, my dear Tilo, we have to do it. I can't give this shot. I'm so exhausted, and that's the right thing. For the shot, that's the right thing. I need that look of exhaustion on your face and on your body. And finally, we did the shot, and she almost collapsed on my lap. I said, my dear little Tilo, you have done a fantastic shot. So it happens. The actors, if you can involve them, in my opinion, first of all, I've worked with so many actors, so-called big stars, very good actors, very bad actors, non-actors. So all this year, it's been a great experience for me how to handle. You have to understand the psyche of the actor. You have to understand the mind of an actor. And at the same time, you have to make friendship with it. That happened, And Neeraj Kabi, in one of the interview, he said, "Oh my God, we three of them, we were lapping and dancing, oh, and like a puppet in the hands of a maestro. Whatever he was saying, we were doing. But we are doing with full passion, full energy. That was, it was very difficult shoot." And always, we planned consulting AccuWeather. When, the rain may begin, and when there will be overcast. AccuWeather focus was not 100% perfect, but almost 80%. I would say, 80%. And accordingly, we were shooting during the rain, mostly in actual rain. We, in cinema, of course, sometimes for keeping continuity, you need a rainmaker. So we had a rainmaker with us to balance. Suppose you got a fantastic shot in a real rain, but in the next angle, rain subdue. Okay, then, you use Muslim close-ups, total dimension. But, everything was planned, and we thought, this film should have, as you say, about cinematography, the photographic tonal quality should be grayish, little gray, not only for monsoon, but there's that gray area of the lives of my characters. They're poor, but they know what is resilience, what is endurance, and also what is camaraderie, helping others. Yeah. And there, I try to create a contradiction whether they helped the cartman with the old couple, or they go for their job. They have to secure the job. Unless they reach on time, the job will go. But through the contradiction, and that in cinema, you can do it very well. When you use cinematic time and space and you create that conflict, they decide to help them.
Yeah. But this is something that you've always dealt with. Like, for example, in this particular film, like the characters ultimately triumph over all the elements that conspire to rob them of their humanity. And somehow their humanity prevails over all these other obstacles that come their way. Similarly with them, when they're like, initially they don't want to help out the person, but not only do they help out the person with the cart, they also go and wait in the hospital to ensure that the sick couple inside the cart are all right. So, but this is something that this is something we see in most of your films, this triumph of humanity.
I feel cinema is hope. With this media, you create a positive energy over the negative one. That always I believe, and also in my personal life, that it's so difficult in today's world. There are so many negative vibes all around you, and every day you are facing and challenging those negative emotion with your positive emotion. So that's why in many of my films, it's there. That day they had shown Abar Orne. All my actors, many of them are normal. Some Jaraji, Shuvendu, then Shomit Vanju, and many other few technicians. I was watching the film. It's a great memory. It was about the journey, but also the Tabu's character is a fantastic character. Also, I think the character is a metaphor for humanity. So there is also, but she has a tragic tragedy, but finally they realize that our class, we live in an insular society. When we go out and encounter nature and common people, then we realize, my God, they are not, just for your fun. They have their deep-rooted culture and they know what is sustainable development that we can learn from the tribals, from the indigenous people. So that was, in my inquiry throughout my career, whether it's a fiction or non-fiction, where, I made a film on Ustad Bismillah Hasab. That was a great learning process for me and also for my unit members. What a person, a great man, great artist, but with such strong native wisdom. He represents our composite culture. So, for me, Bismillah, again, is a bow.
Now let's talk about, you talked about power. Now, throughout the film, I was finding echoes of power. Like, let's draw some parallels. There is the man and the woman and a journey that was born out of desperation.
Yeah.
In both the cases. A journey that is filled with a lot of problems, a journey of uncertainty. And then we come to a place where there is, in the place of the unborn baby in Shabana, who needs to be protected, we have two sick, very fragile, equally vulnerable elderly couple who are ill. So they need to be protected and they're also on their way. We also have in the backdrop a resistance of the oppressed against the oppressor. In the case of Par, we had the Dalits fighting for their wages, the rights of earning higher wages. And here we have the tribals fighting for their land, which is being taken away by corporates. So in many ways, forgive me for saying this could be seen as a Par of the millennium, in the sense that Par of 2025, given that Par was like in 1984, I think.
Yes, a little more than 40 years back.
40 years ago. So how much of Par was playing in your mind as you were shooting?
Well, it's not Par, my film itself. what was playing in my mind, the continuity of our history and the evolution of our society. So many things have changed at a surface level, but many things hidden which has not changed. Uh, the struggle of common man and struggle for survival. But I don't call that, I make the films on poor people. Yeah, not poor, not very rich. Rich, as a human being, they're rich. Well, when we were watching Raahgir a couple of days back, Nasir was there. After that, Nasir loved the film. I said, my God, I was feeling so many, so many things about power. As if, the same thing happened when Shabana watched this film in Mumbai, Mummy Festival, a few years back. And she said after the film, oh man, it was I was feeling that now we have gone back to the days of power. And so this is, the continuity. In between, I made a film about my own class, own milieu. That's different. But, when I come back to the term subaltern world, little unknown people, hardly you see them in the media, or because they don't belong to the glitzy world. And sometimes my producer was really courageous. Sometimes the producers feel that if you make a film about the tribals, unknown people, the unknown to the new generation, I said, it's wrong. Wherever I'd shown Raahgir, after that, I encountered with all young people. In Pune, it's an educational hub. More 50, 75 people interacted with me. I was screaming in Pune. And they said, sir, it's a feel-good film. It's a very interesting word. The one girl said, sir, we are really absorbed with the film. And it's a feel-good film. And that's the right word. Feel-good film because they achieved to save the old couple. Okay. That's very important. Whether economically into the poor or middle class or rich is different. That you can save others' life, others' security with your own effort. That's very important. That's why, book, it has a continuity. Or although there's a gap of 40 years between Par and Raahgir, a lot of people, even many critics abroad and here also had written that, you get the same sort of feeling of Par in this film. But Par was probably darker because Par, of course, Par has many other layers. That's about the caste fight in those days. It was coming out. I remember M.G. Akbar and Raviva in Sunday started publishing many stories about the Pipra violence and other violence. So that inspired me to. I thought of making a documentary on caste violence, and but finally I thought of doing a feature film. Shomor's Basu's story is a climax of the film one. But, I thought of sort of binding up the backdrop. In this film, it's not there. Little bit is there, how about their past. Yeah, that's true. That I tried to keep in a very subtle way. That while traveling, they develop the kind of little friendship and they start telling their own stories. That's all. But in part, the entire connotation was completely different because, there are many other complex issues.
Par also ends with hope.
Yeah.
This ends with a smile and a song.
Yes.
This is a continuation of the present situation.
Absolutely.
Par looks forward to a different situation with a new thing coming along. So that way, this is more of this also has funny moments. The man, the paralyzed husband calling out that he needs 2 batteries.
Absolutely.
From the toilet.
I'm very happy that it's going.
So that way, it's like not really like Par, in the sense that like Par has a few funny moments too, particularly their visit in the city, but those are not funny. They're like endearing. But this is a little different from.
The beginning, it's very interesting, for that man, who is almost paralyzed. The radio is the only sort of connection with the outer world
And the children.
and the children. So those small little nuances are very important in film. A lot who ask me, what kind of story you are going to tell in your next film? And look, I will not tell any story. I'll tell a cinema for you.
Yeah.
That is because, cinema story is totally different. Whether you adapt from a literary work or original screenplay, cinematic nuances is totally different from other medium. So those are the nuances, small little nuances, that, if a serious audience, I think, cinema, unfortunately, sometimes people say, well, it's a big hit, it's a flop. No, also, audience has a great responsibility. Like a reader, when you read a literary work, a poem, a novel, a short story, sometimes you go back and try to read again what is there between the lines. In cinema too, there's. Uh, I know there are many good audience. They look at the film more than once, yeah. Sometimes many times. And so many people told me, oh my God, during the first viewing, I didn't get that very interesting twist, your treatment. So that then, a filmmaker gets really elated that you have a good audience. That's very important. So that's why, I appreciate that the battery thing you have mentioned. It originally, हमारा battery या मत भूलना.
Yeah.
Then, she feels usko battery bit is also exhausted.
Yeah.
What they're doing, I don't know. When she joins that in the mine,
In the
stores don't vary.
yeah.
So these are small little things, slices from life, but in cinema you can bring it with a different, connotation, different, with a different dimension altogether.
So now let's talk about your treatment of nature. Now, in literature, we've seen, particularly with writers like Conrad, we've seen this concept of objective correlative, where nature kind of reflects the state of being of the protagonist or the state of mind, and plays a kind of a role, a chorus-like role. The gives a sense of foreboding of what's going to transpire, what's going to happen. But here, nature is so beautiful, and yet it does not reflect the lives of the people or the minds of the people. It seems to be like this, so completely aloof from their state of being. It seems so indifferent. And though they live amidst so much beauty, there is very little joy from nature that we seem to get in the lives of these people. Their joy is interaction amongst themselves, with their children, with their husband. Their husband tells a little joke, the little riddles that he talks about. So nature is more like at least that's the way I saw it, like collecting woods and surviving in spite of all the beauty around it. How did you?
Well, I think nature played a great role uh, for hundreds of years in art and literature. And in our lives also, I think we live in this small little blue planet. If we look at the universe and the planet, nature is so important. It has, uh, it is absolutely in your system when we are born. But, many of my films, nature played a very important role, like Padma Nodi Bach, Boatman Padma. Right? River Padma is the hero or heroine of the film. So, with the change of nature, the lives of people change. Change of monsoon, they react differently. Here, nature is there all around. They're living in the nature. And actually, I've noticed that travel all over the country, in many places where indigenous people live. Of course, now they don't live in a indigenous economy. They are connected with the mainstream. I've noticed that they are so close to nature without showing it because it's part of their life. When they take firewood from the forest, they know exactly which branches are okay. If I cut, nothing will happen with the main tree. But for the forest mafias, they don't care. They plunder. So in my characters, in the Raahgir, these people are very close to nature, and also uh, Lakhua, the character played by Adili Sen, also connected with their own musical tradition. Yes, that is also very important. For not only it's a question, she said nothing is there. I had to go out for a work. And so when they travel the park, the terrain, you see, and it's also very interesting when a barren land terrain, you see two figures come out. When we had written the script, I sent the script to Neeraj Kavi, and in the first shot, which Nasir was telling is an incredible shot, the opening area, you see a tiny figure walks through the forest. So I had written the script, me and my co-writer Jagannath Go, the passed away unfortunately, very old friend of mine. Like written, it looks like a Gopal Ghosh painting.
Mm-hmm.
So in Gopal Ghosh painting, nature plays such an important role. And there he places humans like dogs. So always when I conceive a film, I think, nature means not only visual beauty, also the sound of nature, natural sound or ambient sound of nature. That is very important. Sometimes you can use it synchronous and sometimes non-synchronous, as you find in the film. The sound of the crusher and the machine and the music and song parallel cut with the Natua dance. I think that creates a synthesis for a very, very exciting cinematic moment. So nature is there. Nature is observing you. Nature is traveling with me or rather, I'm traveling in nature's space in my characters. I I love placing my character sometimes, in a turbulent river, taking all the risks of crossing the river, sometimes in a very romantic mood, surrounded by the natural elements.
At the same time, I just told you a little while ago about a particular shot which was I found that very interesting when they're struggling with the cart and they're stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
And it was it was a harrowing scene in the sense that at the end of it, when they finally get across the mud, the audience kind of gives a gasp of relief. Yeah. But while they're struggling, the camera kind of moves up, it pans out and moves out, as you're saying, that the universe looking down.
Exactly. And you see, they're struggling, tiny little figure,
Like little ants, like little insects,
absolutely
laboring with
so
their little.
that alien shot. And and you can, the surround sound, you can hear the thunder.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a not ominous. Yeah, a thunder. Still, audience, they don't know what will happen. When the move finally go out of the mud,
Yeah.
those cluster of mud all along. When they go out, you see the rain. Yes, another element.
And when the rain dries up and when finally the rain stops, the rain itself is so claustrophobic. Given the situation that they're in, I don't know how.
Because they were liberated almost from that struggle, and thought that they could reach the main road very fast. But as the interest.
One after another, one after another.
I still remember when I read and studied Eisenstein, Film Sense and Film Form. There he says in cinema, you have to understand the conflict, spatial conflict of light, conflict of human situation. So I think in cinema, because he tried to explain what is montage in those days, but actually conflict is always there, and that conflict creates a sort of interest for the audience. My God, what will happen? And I love this unpredictable moments in cinema. That I never, none of my film I have really told so-called a rounded story, beginning, middle, and end. No, you must experience the cinematic journey with the filmmaker and all others involved with a particular project.
Look, the film has been hailed as a masterpiece critically, all over the world. So this is that it hasn't yet been like released commercially, but it's been hailed as a masterpiece. Do you see this as one of your finest works?
No, I don't think so. Because, after that, I made a film, Parikrama, which also for me a very dear film. And also, we had a lot of struggle because, it got sort of postponed after the Italian shoot. I think each and every film is my baby. No, it's very difficult to say which one is the best. But as Kurosawa told Mr. Ray and Antonioni and Elia Kazan, they were interviewed by Amita Malik long back in Delhi Film Festival. Mr. Ray asked Kurosawa, Mr. Kurosawa, which one you feel your favorite film? For me, Seven Samurai. Kurosawa was quiet. Of course, he was speaking in Japanese. There was a translator. He remained for some time and said, perhaps my next wife. That's why I'm leaving. I'll never forget that. That's why always I feel maybe the next one, whatever mistakes I've done. Actually, for a filmmaker, it's a very difficult situation. When you make a film, after that, you can't erase it.
Yeah.
If you're a poet, you can throw it out and throw it away and write it again. But it's cinema, you can't. Only thing, while watching your own film, you try to understand your mistakes. Of course, there are many departments, but finally, the mistake it lies on the director. Because you're the captain of the team. If any orchestra, you find it wrong notes or discordant notes, people will say to the conductor, why you didn't, well, you were not so careful. So I'm a great critic of my own film. And I try to sort of find out the mistakes I've done. So I think the next one, where I can improve more. And, nowadays, cinema is not alone. We are living in an audiovisual age. Since you get up in the morning till the night, audiovisual all around. So I think our responsibility as a filmmaker who loves cinema, we have to separate cinema from audiovisual. I have nothing against the audiovisual because, it's there. It's technology. You cannot stop technology. We keep on changing. You never know, with the nanotechnology, they will put some sensor here and your eyes will becoming the lens. We never know. But the art of cinema has to survive. And you have to separate cinema from usual hundreds and billions audiovisual, reel and all that, all kinds of things. That's the responsibility of filmmakers, cinematographers. Or I think maybe in my next film, I will award two angles. What is straight angle to the way in a mobile we take a picture. And this angle, the selfie. These two angles I'll award in my new film.
So you're already thinking about a new film?
No, I am thinking so many things, anyway.
But this is after Parikrama?
After Parikrama, I have in mind. And also, again, still, I don't want to tell my age. I still, at this age, I'm very adventurous. I have a great desire. I'll make a feature film that's planned. I can't tell you because, it's a co-production with Bangladesh. Now, situation is not really, very, sort of, little unstable. Uh, so maybe that film will maybe be postponed for some time, but I'll make another film. I also have a great desire to make a film in Hyderabad in Telugu language because that was my first film. Mabhumi was my first film. So a lot of people told me that why you to come back and make another film there. But also I have a great plan to go to Madagascar. Why? To understand the life of lemurs. That will be another metaphor that look how lemurs are living in this blue planet vis-a-vis the human race. Wow. Because, I think, let's show the lemurs compassion, their understanding. So that's my plan. We have been planning to go to Madagascar first for a recce and then a shoot. So I think, it's very important that human race, well, technology is a dichotomy. Technology will come and go and stay. In my own career, I've seen a huge change in technology, black and white to color, then analog to digital, some various kinds of analog system, various kinds of digital system. But in cinema, you have to update yourself. Otherwise, you are out. You are totally out. And only my desire, I use, I love seeing the world through my camera. And I find this world is becoming very, very inhuman. So, even in my next film, in Parikrama, you will see, I don't want to be the detail of Parikrama. It's about, again, a very interesting journey about the little boy, Indian boy, and the little Italian boy abroad. He doesn't come to India, but his father is a filmmaker making film on environment. He meets a hawker boy, and the hawker boy tells his story. So, there also I try to show hope and the tremendous resilience of the little 12 years little boy that I think, they're the heroes. I think those little boys are little big man in a way. So we cannot change the world through cinema. Impossible. So many people, had written article that cinema will unite, especially W.D. Griffith, great American filmmaker. In 1924, he had written an article, Movies 100 Years From Now, where he said cinema is such a powerful medium, it will unite people. It will create universal brotherhood. And eventually the war will be stopped. That became an utopia. It did never happen. After that, we've seen as the Second World War, many proxy wars were still going on. So we couldn't change the world. Tagore couldn't change the world with his writings. And when he had at the fag end of his life, he had given lecture in town hall, The Crisis of Civilization, which is a very important article, sort of lecture. So I think, we cannot change the society, but we can record the memories of time. That's very important. People can really, when some people will do research about a particular time, our films would be a very interesting tools. Good cinema, you show everything physical. And finally, I would say that you record the memories of time, and at the same time, you combine real, unreal, and surreal. Fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. My pleasure.